So James Magnussen is a professional swimmer and Australian representative since the age of 18. His wins include 3 world champion, 3 Olympic medalists, 5 Commonwealth Games gold medalists. The best part, he is a small business owner like us and owns a gym equipment company called Habitual Equipment. James, really great to have you here. It's super exciting to find out more about your career. So I have to start asking by why swimming first?
Yeah, so I think for me, I started swimming at a fairly young age and fell in love with the sport at a young age. I really enjoyed it. I felt very natural in the water, and I made friends through the sport that kind of kept me coming back. I had a little bit of a crossroads around the age of 15, 16 years of age. I also played rugby league and was quite competitive in that as well. And I had to make a choice between swimming and rugby league or of course, furthering my studies and taking a completely different path altogether. And when I was at that crossroads for me, I found it hard sometimes with team sports and team activities that my performance couldn't directly control the outcome that I wanted. And I always, the thing I always loved in swimming, and the thing that most people find very stressful and high pressure about individual sports, is that when I stand up behind the blocks, the result rests on my shoulders and my shoulders alone. I'm not relying on anybody else. I've done the work or not is going to be a direct correlation of that result.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I loved it from my first race to my last. And I think it was a big part of why I chose that path of swimming.
So you're a leader by nature. That's what it is. Yeah, no, I love it. Love it. It's, obviously a lot of people join a sports team to be a part of that supportive nature, but obviously within leading, you got to push through by yourself. So you're obviously a high performance swimmer, and I wanted to get an insight into that world of high performance, because swimming is, it's a big Australian sport, first off, and then in terms of performance, it requires a lot of support. So can you first off define what high performance is?
Yeah, so swimming is a really interesting one in that it's a world sport, right? So my competitors come from every corner of the earth. And so for us, what we were always focused on within our squad, within my support team, was world's best practice. What's the world's best practice for strength and conditioning? What's world's best practice for diet, nutrition, recovery, training methods? How do I make sure that I'm in the top 1%, if not the best in the world, in every facet of the things that go into my performance? And that's constantly stepping back and evaluating what you're doing and where you're at and the people you're working with, and keeping everybody accountable to make sure that you're performing at that world's best level. And if you're not, swimming's one of those sports where you'll get found out really quickly. There's no sort of hidden talents or anything like that. It is a direct result of the work you put in and the people you have around you. So we were always acutely aware of what was going on around the world with our competitors and other swimmers, and we're making sure we were always at the forefront of both world's best practice and innovation as well. What are there new ways we could be doing this? Are there new techniques that we could be looking at? Are there new areas of high performance that we could unlock that will keep us at the top of the world in that sport? So, and it's something that I think in business now, world's best practice, it's somewhat easy to have access to now. But when I first started my swimming career, at the very dawn of social media, sometimes it was hard to know what other people were doing around the world. influencers in any field, be it sport, business, social media, whatever it is, were hard to access, and it was hard to know what people were doing. Now with business, I'm sitting down watching TED Talks, reading books, following people on social media to see what's world's best practice in my industry, in business, what's the latest in innovation and technology. So I think it's become easier now to do that, but the focus for me is the same post-swimming career, of seeing what's out there and trying to strive to be at the top of that field.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned innovation in your space, because I never would have thought of it that way, because you're thinking the same traditional moves have been there for so long, and how can you innovate in a space like that? But I love that you guys are thinking that way, because it really gets people to think from a different, especially business owners as well, to think from a different angle. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier was all about, getting the right, working with to become a high performer, you need to work with these amazing coaches and mentors that help you get there. So at GrowthGen, we really do believe in mentorship, and for small businesses especially, because when we start out as small businesses, we're always focused and honed down on our craft or the service that we're going to deliver. And then not to mention all the small bits and pieces that run our lives as small business owners. But the key is to come out of that and have a mentor to help us. How is that process of working with some really good coaches helped you succeed in swimming?
Look, it's vital for us. It's very hard as a swimmer to be in control of all facets of performance, and to have the knowledge to have the right skills in each sector as well. So a huge part of being an athlete and being a very successful athlete, in my opinion, is surrounding yourselves by experts and being able to take on the advice of those experts. So I had leading specialists in each field, be it, again, strength and conditioning, swimming, swim coaching, diet, nutrition, physio. One of the most important roles for me as an athlete is taking on advice from each of those experts, making sure each of those experts can work with each other within our team, and making sure that each of those experts also takes on advice from each other, and kind of everyone's working together. And places where I see issues in high performance and where that doesn't work is when, for example, a swimming coach thinks he knows everything about strength and conditioning or diet and nutrition, and won't take on advice from those other experts or mentors for the athlete. And if you want to be the best in your field in the world at any given thing, you really need to specialize in that and hone in on what it is you want to be the best at. So you can't expect the best swimming coach in the world to also be the best strength and conditioning coach or the best diet coach. So therefore, as an athlete, you have to surround yourself by the best people in each field and take each of their advice individually.
They're very specific, aren't they, all those fields? I mean, and you really need experts around them and good coaches around them to help you become the high-performance swimming you are. So I noticed that you called your business name Habitual Equipment. We're very big on habits at GrowthGen. One of the things that leads to a successful entrepreneur or business leader is creating these small habits in increments, so that they can become a better, not only for their business, but also their lives as well. What did your daily routine look like when you were swimming for Australia?
Yeah, so it was pretty similar every day, sort of during the year, unless I was coming up to a big meet. So I'd get up early. By early, in swimming terms, it wasn't that early during my professional career. So I'd get up around 5:36. When I was a young swimmer, I'd be up at 4:30 every morning to be in the water by 5.
Awesome.
That's during school time. So you've got to have the middle of the day clear. But yeah, as a professional athlete, around 6 o'clock, I'd get up, have breakfast. I'd then go to the pool, get there half an hour before training to prepare myself mentally and physically for the session at hand. Train 2 to 2.5 hours in the pool, hop out, get dry, go to the gym, do another hour or 2 in the gym, lifting weights. And then from there, so this is all at Olympic Park at the New South Wales Institute of Sport, which was nice. Everything was quite close. From there, we could do massages, ice baths, physio. Sometimes we'd have to go in like an altitude chamber to get some exposure to altitude. It's a different type of training again. Then we'd have a nap on site. They had sleep rooms, and then pretty much do it all again. We go back to the pool, train again, come back, recovery stuff. So I generally get home around 7:30 at night, having left at a similar time that morning. So it's pretty much it's a full-time job, but when it's something that you really love, it's a lucky place to be in.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a full-on day from 4:30 a.m. in the morning all the way up to 7:30 p.m. It's quite a big day. So and that's why you're a champion, and that's the best part. I'm definitely going to find out more about those altitude chambers later onwards between you and I, because I'm interested. I've never heard of that before. You yourself, you're a small business owner, and our community loves hearing that. You can tell us a little bit more about your journey, obviously with the business that you've created with Habitual Equipment. Tell us how your small business journey started and where you are today.
Yeah, so I guess I've always been in and around that industry, the fitness industry, my whole life. So after retiring from swimming, I think, I've done work in the media. I've done work mentoring and coaching swimming myself. But I was looking for something above and beyond, and I wanted something that I could invest in and grow and have control over. Again, we come back to that word control. It was something that I was always after in my own swimming career. Yeah. And the fitness industry was somewhere where I was comfortable. I had a lot of contacts. I have a good team around me now as a result of people that I've known in the industry. And so gym equipment or fitness equipment kind of came about at the very start of COVID. We'd been speaking about it prior to that and some things we could do in the industry. And then the problem of COVID, no one being able to go to gyms, the prices of gym equipment online were exorbitant, and people were selling secondhand weights and really rubbish equipment. And so we saw a problem that we tried to solve. And it actually started with, we were doing gym equipment on like a monthly subscription service. So pay X amount per month and get the gym equipment that you need to be able to work out at home. And that was really popular. Yeah, that was really popular and grew quite quickly to a point where we felt like we had a market share where we could just then sort of transfer over to a more standard e-com and retail type business. We've been up and functioning now for 2 years. Just opened a showroom and a gym in Marrickville in Sydney. Cool. We've got warehouses here in Sydney and in Melbourne. Yeah. And now we're trying to move quite strongly into the commercial space, so B2B sales, as well as the e-com platform, which is all our B2C stuff.
Fantastic. I'll have to come and check out that showroom. We have a question from Tom Etherington, so I'm going to get him online. Give me 1 second. And here we go. Tom is coming. Hey, Tom.
Hey, how you going?
Good. Do you want to have your video on? Yeah, there you go. What's your question for James?
Yeah, it's just really about the level of. I've got a daughter who's a swimmer as well. She swims a lot. We are up at 4:30 3 times a week doing all that kind of stuff. It's a slightly selfish question, I guess, because I'm more interested about how you felt that affected other areas of your life, in particular schooling, or because it is a fairly you have to really commit, as you obviously did yourself. So yeah, I just wondered on what your thoughts on that, about how you get that balance between other areas of life.
I think, yeah, and this is a question I get asked a lot by both parents and young swimmers themselves. So
yeah.
There's enough hours in the day, in my opinion, and as most small business owners will know, there's enough hours in the day to exercise, go to school, do homework. There are the hours in the day. The things that I sacrificed as an adolescent and even into my 20s as a swimmer were more social than academic. So rather than coming home from swimming training and jumping online and talking to friends on, back then it was MySpace at the time, I'm sure now Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, rather than spending time doing that, I'd come home from swim training, have dinner, and then do my homework for the night. And then often that would lead straight into bed. That's just the kind of the timeline you're working to. But I was able to do the same amount of homework as the other students in my class, because I cut out all that afternoon time of sitting watching TV, playing PlayStation, or doing other social things. And the benefit I found of swimming was I was still getting that social interaction with the other swimmers in the squad. I had two separate groups of friends, my friends from school and my friends from swimming. And then at the end of high school, as a result of swimming, I had all these academic opportunities opened up to me as a result of my performances in the pool. So I got offered scholarships to American colleges right across the States, full paid scholarships. I got offered scholarships to Sydney Uni, Macquarie Uni, AIS, basically everywhere. All these opportunities opened up to me because of my swimming. And it was a really interesting 360, because I had all these teachers telling me right through high school, you're going to affect your studies and you won't have the opportunities for study beyond year 12 because you haven't put the time or effort into your studies. But it actually turned out the exact opposite. And my mum, who is actually my school teacher in year 11 and 12, modern history. Yeah, I'm from Port Macquarie, so a smaller town, so just unavoidable, unfortunately. She was one of those people who was really surprised when at the end of year 12 I started getting all these offers coming in for tertiary education. So I found it was very complementary to my studies, and it gave me a skill set around sort of commitment and dedication that a lot of other kids my age didn't have. And for anybody that I speak to that says, I don't have time to study, I think you just have to look at the time that you're spending on things that aren't necessarily productive. And I know for teenagers that's hard. But there's certainly
business as well, isn't it? It's the same principle. If we're not getting results as a small business owner, we maybe are not doing the right things.
I even have some of my business partners, a couple of my business partners, we own a gym. And they say we don't have time to train.
That's hilarious. Well, Tom,
thanks for that.
That's a great answer, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll pass that on to Ruby. Yeah, she's hoping for the scholarship. That's her kind of aim, really, is to get a scholarship to the US or something as well. So.
It's an interesting one, and something that I look back on sometimes. So I obviously didn't go down that route, but I think if or when I have children, if that opportunity arises, that's something that I would probably nudge them towards, just because that model of having a fully funded degree with no living expenses is above and beyond what any university can offer in Australia.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Well, thanks for that. I appreciate it. I'll pass that on.
No worries.
So we'll just get Dawn in. So she's got one question as well. So fantastic.
Hi. That was amazing, James. Lovely to hear your story. I just wanted to ask you this question because I think it's really important to small business owners is when you face a challenge in your business or in your life, what is the first perception that comes into your mind? How do you see that situation when you see a challenge?
Yeah, so I'm always an outcomes guy, or I'm always looking for the answer. So many people, and I haven't had business partners before, and obviously coming from an individual sport, so often when we come across problems in our business or hurdles, there's an instant inclination from some for self-pity or, laying blame or something like that. Whereas because I've come from a sporting background, I'm straight away looking at like, all right, what's the answer to this problem? What's the outcome? How do I get into action straight away? And we've had periods of time where, for example, sales have been low, or marketing campaigns aren't working that you've put money into and stuff like that. And rather than me sitting there and saying, sales are bad, let's decrease marketing spend, let's look at saving some expenses here or there, I jump straight onto, all right, how can I leverage my contacts? How can I look at a new marketing angle, and just go straight into action? And I think that's probably my sporting background that's given me that mindset. But it's certainly helped me. And I think the other thing that helps with my sporting background is some of the pressures and expectations and big moments that I've had during that career make business at times feel less high pressure or less high stakes for me. And so I'm able to kind of put the emotion to the side and act a little more quickly.
Yeah, love that. Solution oriented. It's the best way. It's what I used when I was disabled. I was like, I'm not focusing on that I can't walk. I'm focusing that I'm going to walk again. I just don't know how or when.
Yeah.
And then it comes, you've just got to let go of them emotions.
Yeah, love it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Dawn, for asking that question. James, we're about to wrap up soon, but I want to ask you one question, because we're all about business and life here, because for small business owners, we feel that integration is the right way. So instead of creating a balance in your life, integrate everything so that you can create a much enjoyable journey for yourself rather than the other way around. So just want to finish off. Can you please quickly rank top 5 priorities currently in your life, James?
Yeah, so I think as a result of COVID and the separation we had, number 1 for me right now is family and friends. Having that ability to interact and see a lot of my family and friends that don't live nearby certainly bumped up that priority over the past 2 years. And it's something we took for granted our whole lives, and all of a sudden it was that was taken away. So that's number 1 for me. Number 2 right now would be my business and the things that I'm working on and growing that. Number 3 is my physical health. I always like to stay in shape, and I think there's a direct correlation for me between being fit and healthy and my headspace, which leads me to my number 4, my mental health. It's something that I've found throughout my swimming career I've had to actively work on. And I think it's something that a lot of people kind of don't focus on and let slip away at times. So I actively focus on that. And number 5, I think, is personal growth. So whether that be relationships, wealth, a whole range of things, is I'm always trying to grow and improve to make sure that I'm not stagnant or stale in life.
That's incredible. We loved hearing about your mental health as well. We had actually Tony Raba from the Male Hug. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but fantastic initiative that this amazing accountant started. So super, super important for you to look after your mental health. Big part of what we do at Growth Gen as well. James, thank you so much for joining me today. Very insightful one, but more importantly, inspiring conversation. And we'll definitely keep in touch with you.
Thanks so much, Eob.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And this brings us to the end of Growth Gen. So we hope you had a fantastic summit. We'll definitely be back again in June. So please keep those calendars coming and join us even next week at our GG boards. And have a good night, everyone.